Thank you for joining us on our second episode of Teach a Man to Cook. Today we're going to take a shot at making some pork chops with rice, and we're going to do that with an onion soup type mix, but we're going to do it a little bit different than you might expect. We're not going to use a store-bought onion soup mix. We're going to make our own. The reason for that is a lot of these ones that you buy in the store are filled with preservatives and maybe some things that are sort of controversial in nutrition and health circles. We want to avoid that. We want to make sure that the ingredients we're using are wholesome and healthy. And so Heidi is going to help me to make one from scratch. We're going to start with some of these. We've got them all laid out. We're going to start with some of these ingredients like minced onion, right? Mm-hmm. And then we're going to do some onion powder. So we're kind of doubling up on the onion there. You might want to explain that to me later or now. Why do we do that?
I don't know. It's in the recipe.
It's in the recipe, okay. So we're going to go hog wild, pun intended, on the onion. And this is parsley, organic parsley here. We're going to do some organic celery seed as well. And then we're going to do some paprika. In addition to that, we're going to do some grass-fed beef bone broth in the onion mix. So, as I understood it, I'm going to use this to mix it all together. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? All right.
You can use any vessel you want as long as you can fit all the ingredients in there and shake it up really good.
Okay.
So we're going to do a 1/4 cup of dried onion flake first.
So that would be the minced. Mm-hmm. All right. You said a 1/4 cup. Mm-hmm. That looks like about that one. Still getting used to all these tools of the trade. All right. So we did get some of that on the floor, but most of it went in the cup. So
you got a whole 1/4 cup there?
Pretty much. Yeah, it was maybe slightly light. There we go.
Okay. Now we want to do the...
One of these things is not like the other.
No.
All right.
Now we're going to do the beef bouillon, or the beef...
bone broth? Mm-hmm. All right. So we laid some things out ahead of time this time because we're learning. And we want to be efficient with our filming time here.
We don't want to do an 1.5-hour video.
That is correct.
All in. Everybody okay. In the pool. Yep.
Everybody in the pool. Mm-hmm. All right.
Then a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder.
All right. So I've already learned, even though I'm not as good a cook as Heidi is, or even close, or really a cook at all, that's the whole idea here. I've learned that buying good organic ingredients definitely makes a difference in the flavor of the food that she cooks. So I would highly recommend not trying to save money in those areas, because it really tends to affect the final outcome of the recipe, in my opinion, from what I've tasted, from what she's cooked. And when we started buying those things, I started to notice things got a little bit better. So what do we got next?
Next is a 1/4 teaspoon of parsley flake.
Okay, same one, huh? Mm-hmm. All right.
And then 1/8 teaspoon of celery seed.
So from the first episode we did with Teach a Man to Cook, I learned to not even bother to try dumping things into the measuring spoons with these little screens on them. You just take the cover off because you're gonna end up getting it all over the place.
Yeah, you'll be here all day.
Yeah. All right.
All right. The next one is 1/8 of a teaspoon of paprika. And this recipe that we're making for this onion soup mix will make the equivalent of 1 package of your store-bought onion soup mix.
All right, so 1 package. Which is what you'd normally use.
Mm-hmm. So if your recipe calls for 1 package of onion soup mix, you know, the store-bought kind, we won't say the name, but if it calls for 1 package of soup mix, then you know that these ingredients that we're using here will equal 1 package of that store-bought mix.
All right. So at this point, I'm assuming
so at this point, you want to shake it all up really good.
I want to have my own style. I'm developing here as a chef, right?
Yeah.
So.
All right, can we put that aside? And the next thing we're going to do is brown the pork chops.
All right, so
you want to get your pan ready.
I'm gonna open this up here. Is that okay? Can you open this up?
Yes.
Get that ready. And then I think that's the pan over there. Okay, and we are using, by the way, if I can just get this off here and read it to you. These are all natural pork raised with no antibiotics ever. Farm fresh pork. And they aren't these center cut bone in pork chops?
Bone in, yes.
So just
So right there, when you
FYI.
say bone in, you know you're going to need to cook these pork chops for at least an hour. Anything with a bone in, you want to cook for at least an hour.
All right.
So we're going to heat that pan up. And you want to put it like around the 6 or 8 mark, right around in the middle of the 6 and 8.
All right, so closer to the high side on our stove.
Yeah, because we're going to really brown these up pretty good. And put a little bit of olive oil into the pan.
All right, I learned what that was in the first episode. And no, it's not motor oil. How's that?
Looks good.
Is that good?
That's good. You want, about a tablespoon or 2 in there. Just eyeball it.
Maybe a little more. Just a little. Okay.
And we're going to let that pan heat up for about 2 minutes or so. So we'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. So we're just about prepared to start browning these pork chops. I've got to preheat the stove to 350, I believe, for when we slide the pan into the stove. That's where it's going to end up. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. All right, so on these pork chops, we're just going to drop them right in there, right?
Yes.
Just go right ahead. Play a little Tetris here. Get them.
Make sure they can all fit in there.
Okay. First try was a little bit of a fail. I'm gonna move it a little bit without burning myself. All right.
All right, then we're going to brown those for 2 to 3 minutes per side. Okay, now we're going to flip them.
All right.
Look at that yummy caramelization.
Well, let's show a little bit of that.
That looks good.
You see that?
Yep.
All right. Get this one flipped.
And now we'll time these ones again another 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
All right. So now we are going to take the chops out of the pan and let them rest on the plate for a little bit.
Okay.
We won't want to turn that off just yet.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and let
those rest a little bit.
Let these drip here a little bit. And then now, is this so that it cools down just a little bit for the process of putting on the onion
This is
mix?
for the next step of our recipe, which is going to be the rice and the water and the onion soup.
What is the
mix.
reason for letting them sit for a little bit?
So that we have enough room in the pan to do the next part.
Oh, okay. So there's no special cooking reason
No.
for that. Okay. All right, so we've got the pork chops browned a bit. I've moved the pan off the heater, the burner, just so it doesn't get too hot. And then we're gonna go ahead and do what now?
Now we're going to get our 2.5 cups of hot water.
Okay.
And we're going to want to put that pan back on the burner because we need to have that heating up.
All right, so I'm gonna move that back over here now. Okay, so we've got 2.5 cups.
I'm going to microwave it for about 2 minutes till it's nice and hot.
All right. It is on its way to hot. All right, so we've got it heated up here, the water that is.
So now we're going to take the water and put it right into the pan.
All right, well, I spilled just a little bit.
All right. And then we're going to take our spatula and scrape up all the bits on the bottom of that. And we're going to also turn our heat up to high because we need this to come to a boil.
Okay. That is on high.
Okay. Make sure you scrape up all those bits on the bottom because that's what all your flavor is. Gently, gently. Now that it's boiling, now we can put our onion soup mix in.
Okay.
Turn that heat down to about medium-high.
So that would be about 6 again?
Yeah, around 6 or 8.
Okay.
Stir that in really good.
Is this normally what you would stir this with?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I would.
Okay.
And now we're going to add a cup of, you can either use brown rice or white rice, whatever you like. We use brown rice,
All right.
brown basmati rice. 1 cup.
So that's the brown rice right there. And this is, where do you get this rice?
We got this one at Costco, I believe.
Okay. And you got it in, if I remember right, it was in a big bulky bag, right?
It was in a 25-pound bag.
Okay. Well, that's the way, if you're gonna do it right.
That's right.
All right, I'm sorry. So you said now
1 cup.
1 cup. And that's this one. All right, got that in there.
stir that around really good. Now we're going to turn the burner off and we're going to add our pork chops to the pan.
Okay, probably the easiest way is still with these tongs. Okay, what's the combination? All right, we got it. Playing Tetris again.
Yeah, they fit in there like little puzzle pieces.
It is kind of like a puzzle, actually.
We used to do puzzles.
We did do puzzles together during the downtime. We'll just call it downtime that we all had.
All right, now we're going to put a lid on it and put it in the oven on 350.
That sounds familiar. Put a lid on it. I think you might have said that to me a few times.
Yeah, okay.
And then you said
350. The ovens should be preheated to 350. We're going to put the pan into the oven.
It's at 350. I can feel it.
Wonderful.
All right, we're ready to put it in the oven?
We're ready.
Okay. You're ready. I don't know if I'm ready.
We're going to put it in a preheated 350 oven and let it cook for 1 hour.
Why'd you have to buy such good pans? These things are beastly.
They're the best. Be careful. Make sure that handle's in there.
It's in there.
All right. We'll be back.
All right. All right, we're ready to take it out of the oven, and gonna get my trusty oven mitts on here first. And I'm gonna grab this on both ends here because it's pretty heavy, like I mentioned earlier. And then let you have a look at this. Ooh, it looks pretty good. I'm liking it. I want to eat it right now. We're gonna have to let it cool off. So, let's see if we can give you a little peek here. There you go. Without spilling it. So what kind of things can we eat with this, Heidi?
Well, you've got your meat and you've got your rice, so I would put a salad with it and some applesauce.
All right. I'm not the biggest applesauce fan, but I know a lot of people are. I'm happy with the rice. I've had this before. It's excellent. Heidi's made it before, and
it's my mom's recipe.
It's just, your mom was right on, spot on. So that's gonna be it for this episode of Teach a Man to Cook, and I hope you get to try this recipe and that it comes out as great as it did here for us. And until next time, keep on cooking.
Thanks, y'all.